check out shares of GameStop. They are rallying in the after hours on news that Robinhood will allow limited buys at tomorrow's open on that stock and others. This comes after Robinhood and other retail brokerages restricted trading on these high-flying names during today's regular session. Our next guest is calling those new restrictions on trading un-American. Joining us now is Morgan Creek Digital Assets founder Anthony Pompliano. Anthony, great to have you with us tonight.
Absolutely. Thanks so much for having me.
What's so un-American about this?
Yeah, look, obviously that this has been building for a while, right? And I think that there's a bunch of investors who believe that they've been punished as savers through the devaluation of the dollar. They've gone to the stock market, and today they are equipped with information, communication tools, and access to markets. And the friction to those three things has been driven nearly to zero. And all of a sudden, they start to find exploitations in the market. They find mistakes that large hedge funds have made. And the second that they start to exploit those weaknesses or those mistakes, the markets get shut, or the stocks, they can't trade them anymore. And so what we're seeing is people who are saying, wait a second, if you're going to risk capital and you're wrong, you should lose. Because if I risk capital and I lose, and I'm wrong, then I'll lose. And so all we're watching is we're just watching the acceleration where these people are going to pick up the ball and they're going to go play elsewhere. And they're going to move to the digital decentralized financial system that is a free market that operates as a meritocracy where the best idea wins.
Right.
If you're right, you profit. If you're wrong, you lose. There's no bailouts. There's no circuit breakers. There's no hours of operations. There's no one to call to halt the trading of a stock. If you're right, you profit. And if you're wrong, you lose. But that's no longer happening in American financial markets. We now have manipulated markets where the free market does not reign, and therefore we're going to accelerate the digital decentralized financial system that's being built now.
There is an undercurrent in this chat board. I'm not sure if you have gone on Wall Street Bets yourself, Anthony, but there are certainly a number of people who are on this forum who say they were burned by the financial crisis. And we have one open letter to CNBC, and there are numerous letters to CNBC saying it's not just Wall Street Bets, but every person affected by the '08 crash that's now paying attention to GameStop are going to remember how you stuck up for firms that ruined so many of us and tried to tear down the little guys. And of course, remember also back to the crisis, it was the big Wall Street firms that got bailed out and not so much the small investors. There is that undercurrent there. And I think not surprisingly, Anthony, the Bitcoin community has really sort of rallied along with the Wall Street Bets community. Why do you think there is that undercurrent there?
Yeah, look, technology is the great equalizer. And so for the last decade, basically the people in '08, '09, whether it was Occupy Wall Street and Zuccotti Park, or just Americans, frankly, around the country, they felt helpless. They felt like they couldn't do anything. But now with technology, that great equalizer, we've seen a reduction in the friction for information. You don't need a Bloomberg terminal to play in the public markets anymore. You can literally just have an internet connection. Communication tools. You don't have to go to the idea dinners. You can go on Reddit. You can go in a Telegram chat. You can go on Twitter. And then access to markets. I no longer need a traditional brokerage account. I can simply go on a Robinhood or some other peer or competitors of theirs. And so when the friction comes down for information, communication, and access, what you see is a level playing field. And so just like people will defend short sellers, and they will say short sellers are part of a healthy market, they will make the claim that we need short sellers in order to have that efficient market, to be a check on the bulls and on the longs. Well, we need retail investors to be a check on Wall Street. And if we go back in history, retail was right about Bitcoin, retail was right about Tesla, retail was right about GameStop. And so maybe we should start to think that retail isn't as stupid as everyone on Wall Street thinks they are. They've actually been more right than people give them credit for. And so I think whether it's Wall Street Bets, it's people on Twitter, or it's just a random person that has an internet connection and wants to trade stocks, open up the markets, allow the free market to reign. And if the hedge funds are scared of competing against retail in the free market, that tells you everything you need to know. Just open the markets and let them compete.
Right. And it is the retail investor who found a way in the system to engineer this short squeeze that brought a major hedge fund to its knees. I just want to make that point, Anthony, before Dan asks his question. Dan?
So, hey, Anthony, we saw this frenzy retail interest in crypto, obviously Bitcoin. This was in 2017. Coinbase was that on-ramp. Obviously you talk about crypto as this amazing, decentralized opportunity for the everyday investor to kind of get a piece of what the future should look like, or at least the financial future. But at the time, Coinbase had its share of problems, right? Operationally, that's a very centralized network in a way. So now fast forward to this, and see what we're going on, with Robinhood in a way. I agree with you. I think the people should be allowed to trade, but there's also there's bandwidth issues, right? And there's regulatory issues, and they seem very similar to me. I'm just curious if you can draw any comparisons to what we saw a few years ago in that retail craze and what we're seeing now in the stock market.
Yeah, look, I think what was happening in 2017 was absolutely bandwidth issues, right? The actual technology products couldn't handle the surges in new signups and in trading kind of volume. What we saw today was not that. What we saw today was a specific move by a platform to stop allowing trading. That would have been like Coinbase saying, hey, you can come on our platform, but you can't trade Bitcoin. You can trade everything else, right? They didn't shut down the platform. They shut down specific assets. And so again, I just go back to what we are seeing is an entire generation of young people that have an internet connection, and they are saying the system is rigged against me. The system does not want me to win. And so what they are going to do is they're going to pick up and they are going to move to a digital decentralized platform. And in that new financial system, there are no circuit breakers. There are no hours of operations. It's a 24/7, 365 days a year free market that you can't call anyone and halt trading. You can't sit and say, oh, wait a second, we fear that rich people aren't going to be as rich tomorrow, and so therefore we should address the problem. It's a free market, and that's what true capitalism is. And what we're watching in the American financial system markets is not capitalism. And there's a big, big portion of the population that wants a capitalistic free market, and they're going to go find it, and they're going to find it in the digital decentralized world.
Anthony, great to get your perspective. Really appreciate it. Anthony Pompliano.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.